Hi, so let's look at quickly a few questions in mathematics, and these questions are on factorization. This is factorization. Now, under this we have some of the questions. They are on quadratic expressions. All right, quadratic expressions. And then others are on what is called difference of two squares. Anyway, they are all quadratic expressions, but some of them we specifically call the method as difference of two squares. All right, difference of two squares. Okay, so now the first question that we have now, we should first of all we should understand that a quadratic expression is an expression in the form ax squared plus bx plus c, right? Where a should not be equal to 0, right? A should not be equal to 0, because once a is equal to 0, then it means that we're going to have 0 multiplied by x squared plus bx plus c, and then this is going to give us a 0, so we are going to remain with bx plus c, which is simply a linear expression. All right, this is going to remain as a linear expression, but we don't want a linear expression, we want a quadratic expression. So that's why a should never be equal to 0. So I have a few questions that are here that I want us to solve together, and then hopefully they're going to help you. So the first question is x squared, this is number 1, x squared plus 2x plus 1, right? So that is just one of the simplest quadratic expressions that we have. Now, what are the steps when you're solving quadratic, or rather when you're factorizing quadratic expressions? So first, you have to find what is called the product. All right? So the product is simply given as AC, right? So remember the general expression, which is ax squared plus bx plus c, right? So in other words, you multiply the coefficient of x squared and the constant value, which is c, then that is going to give you the product. And then you also get what is called the sum, right? Now the sum is simply equal to b, so you just get the coefficient of x in that expression. Then number 3, the third step that you do is you find what are called the factors. Okay, so these factors, let's say for example they should be, if we have m and n, all right, if these are the factors, then it means that if you multiply m multiplied by n, it should give you the product, which is AC, and then when you add them, m plus n, it should give you the sum, which is b. That is the strategy that you use. And then from there, number 4, you have to now do what? You have to substitute, okay, substitute into the expression, all right, substitute for b. So where there is b, for bx rather, all right, so where there is bx, you put mx plus nx. That's what you do. Okay, so let's look at what this expression that we have here. So let's go with the first step. So the first step for us to find the product, the coefficient of x squared there is 1, and then the constant term is 1. So 1 by 1 is going to give us a 1. So the product is 1, and then the sum is going to be 2, the coefficient of x, which is 2, and then the factors, we're going to have two numbers that when we multiply them, we're going to get a 1, and when we add them, we're going to get a 2. This should be 1 and 1, right? So 1 by 1 is just 1, and 1 plus 1 is a 2, right? So, and then we substitute this where there's 2x, so we're going to have x squared. Now this is going to be, remember, it's like we have 1x and 1x, right? And then this is 1x squared, and then this is 2x, right? But then the 1 there doesn't matter, because you don't put a 1 in front of a variable, all right? You don't put it like that. It doesn't mean anything. So basically what you're saying is that 1x plus 1x is 2x, okay? Obviously that is x plus x, right? And then I'm just trying to emphasize the aspect of us having those factors, and then 1x by 1x is equal to 1x squared, which is simply x squared. So we now substitute where there's 2x, we put x and x. So here we're going to have plus x plus another x, then plus 1. Then at this point we factorize by grouping, so we're going to have this group, the first group, and the second group. So the common factor in the first group is an x. So inside there, what we're going to have, if we factor out an x here, we're going to remain with x plus 1, and then here the common factor is 1, a positive 1. So if we're going to remain with x plus 1, right? And then we have to get what is outside the brackets, we put them together, and one of those that are in the brackets, we put them together. At this point, you can even know whether you are correct or you're not correct. If what you have in the brackets there is different, then just know that you are wrong somewhere. You can even actually go back before you go any further. So we're going to have x plus 1 and then multiplied by x plus 1, right? So that is going to be our answer for that question. So this is the answer. Make sure that you get it right. So let's look at the second question. The second question is that is c squared minus 2c then minus 15, right? Minus 15. Now, as usual, the product we get the coefficient of c squared in this case. In the other case, we had x squared. So in this case, we have c squared. So the coefficient of c squared is 1, and then the constant term is negative 15. So the product is negative 15. And then the sum, we simply get the coefficient of c, which is negative 2. And then the factors, two numbers, if we add them, if we multiply them, we get negative 15. And if we add them, we get negative 2. That is going to give us 3 and negative 5, right? Because 3 by negative 5, that is negative 15. And then negative 3 plus negative 5, that is going to give us negative 2. So we now replace it where there is a 2c there. So we're going to have c squared plus 3c minus 5c minus 15. And then as usual, we factorize by grouping. So this is going to be here in the first part there, in the first group, the common factor is c. So we're going to have, if we factor out c there, we're going to remain with a c. We factor out a c there, we're going to remain with a plus 3. And then here we factor out a negative 5. We're going to remain with c plus 5. As usual, you check here, you can see that what you have in the brackets there is the same. So you go ahead, you get what is outside the brackets, you put them together. So we have c minus 5, and then we also have c plus 3. So that is going to be the answer. Then from there, let's look at question number 3 that we have on my list here. So the second question, the third question rather, this is 2y power 3 minus 8y. Okay. Now this one is a bit different. It's not really a quadratic expression. It's a bit different. So what we're going to have, we first check that we have a common factor there, which is 2y. So we can factorize, we can factor out a 2y. So what are going to remain on the first part, we're going to remain with y squared. And then in the second part, we're going to remain with a 4. Right. Now here we can see that this is difference of two squares. We can have 2y multiplied by y squared minus 2 squared, right? Because 2 squared is simply a 4. So then that is going to give us 2y is going to be, now just maybe to try and probably make it simpler for some of you may be new to this. Here this is the same as we have y multiplied by y minus 2 multiplied by 2. So we get the first y and the first 2 there together with a sign. So we're going to have y minus 2 and then multiplied by the second y and the second 2 together with a sign which is positive, so plus 2. So that's why we're coming to that. So that's just a way of making it simple for someone to understand out there. So when we reach that point, then we are done. All right. So this is what is called difference of two squares inside there. Then let's look at the fourth question. The fourth question, real quickly. The fourth question is 2t squared. If I can see correctly, 2t squared. So someone sent these questions for help. minus t minus 3. Right. So I hope that is how the question is. So here again we get the product, which is going to be 2 multiplied by negative 3, that is negative 5. Negative 6. And then the sum is negative 1. So the factors we're going to have, let's say we get a 2 and a 3. So we get 2 and negative 3, right? So 2 multiplied by negative 3, that is negative 6. 2 plus negative 3, that is negative 1. So we're going to have 2t squared plus 2t and then minus 3t minus 3. Right? And then we factorize by grouping as well. The first group here, we're going to have the common factor here is a 2t. So we remain with a t plus 1 here. And then we factorize a negative 3. There we're going to remain with t plus 1. Okay, again, we get what is outside the brackets, we put them together, so 2t minus 3, and then multiplied by any of what is in the brackets, so that is 2 plus 1. Okay, so again, we've reached the end, that is the answer. Then let's look at the last question that I have on my list here that was sent to me. We have 8x squared, I hope I can see correctly, this is 8x squared, minus 10x, and then minus 3. All right, so this is then, we get the product. As usual, the product is going to be 8 multiplied by negative 3, that is negative 24, and then the sum is negative 10. The factors are going to have, let's say we have 4 and a 6, so which one do we get? Well, let's see. Okay, so this is a plus. There should be a plus here. Okay, that's a plus. So 8 by 3, that is 24, and then the sum is negative 10. So we're going to have these negatives, right? So negative 4 by negative 6, that's 24, and then we have negative 4 plus negative 6, that should be a negative 10. So we're going to have 8x squared minus 4x, then minus 6x plus 3. Right, so here the common factor is a 4x. 4x we factor out there, we're going to remain with 2x minus 1. And then here the common factor here is a negative 3. Here we're going to remain with 2x minus 1, right? So again, we can see that what you're having in the brackets there is the same. So that shows you that so far you are correct. So we get what is outside the brackets, we put them together, so we have 4x minus 3. And then we get what is in the brackets, we have 2x minus 1. The order doesn't matter, by the way. You can still say 2x minus 1 or multiplied by 4x minus 3. It's still the same. Now, maybe just an addition, because we're done with the questions that I had. Just one thing, in case this was given as an equation, if this is an equation, meaning that it's going to be a quadratic equation, meaning that you carry together with the equal sign, equal to 0, equal to 0, equal to 0, equal to 0, meaning that at this point, when you hit this point after you factorize everything, and you're done with your factorization, then you equate each of these in the brackets to 0. So in this case, we're going to have 2x minus 1 equal to 0, and 4x minus 3 equal to 0. That's what you're going to have. And then you solve each of those linear equations. So this one is going to be 2x equal to 1, because if we get the negative 1 to the other side, it's going to be positive, and then divide by 2, and this side by 2. So x is going to be 1 divided by 2, or rather, it's going to be a half. And then this side, you're going to have 4x equal to 3 divided by 4 divided by 4. So x is going to be equal to what? 3 quarters, which is 3 over 4. So this is in a case if it were an equation. The same applies to all other questions that we've gone through in this short tutorial. So that is how you go about these quadratic expressions. Of course, there was one which was more to do with a difference of two squares, but much of it was about quadratic expressions, factorizing and solving the quadratic equations like we have seen on the last question. So thank you so much for joining me. Please remember to subscribe to my channel and also like this video and share the video. Thank you.